Why do you chain him? To put people in chains who haven't hurt anybody? We want to know.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by FreedomBookClub.com.
Twisting my arm.
They're using force on a...
So we're talking about this crackdown that happened. 8 arrests here in Keene yesterday. Some of them were somewhat dramatic, with people standing in front of cop cars and behind cop cars, getting arrested. There was some civil disobedience was happening yesterday again in Keene, and there was a crackdown, all based on the complaint of one, at this point, anonymous person. Folks were just enjoying a nice afternoon, as they tend to do on Sundays here in Keene. A nice afternoon in the park. One lady was enjoying a nipple painting, as well as, meaning her nipple was being painted, as well as a beer. And a few other folks were enjoying some beers as well. Cops came up based on a so-called complaint from an alleged citizen, and they used that as their excuse to harass this poor lady. This young lady who has recently gotten involved in the liberty movement up here. Another New Hampshire native or long-timer that has lived in the area much longer than the folks from the Free State Project have. And she's taken a little bit of flack from some of her friends in the area who, on her Facebook page, they've been kind of trashing on her, saying that this is bad of her to hang out with the Free Staters.
Right, well, and for some people it's just easier to be apologetic for the police as opposed to... actually holding them accountable for their actions, that they're siding with them, saying, I mean, everyone starts, again, the problem is because we brought beer into the park, or people did, and to me that's not the problem. The problem is that they regulate what you can or can't do on this piece of property to your own self, a property you pay for and a body in which I own.
Well, some of those people might complain about what you're doing, saying that, you liberty activists, and they tend to use the term Free Staters because it's more derogatory, but you Free Staters, all you want to do is, get high. You don't care about the issues that matter. What would you say to that?
I wouldn't know what to say. That I would say the issues that matter to me are being free and allowing people to live their life so long as they don't initiate force on anyone else.
Yeah, but that's nice. But wouldn't you say there are more important issues at hand than whether you can drink in the park?
Oh, for sure.
Well, what kind of what are the more important issues? I mean,
how about the war?
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do about the war from Keene, New Hampshire?
You can hold some signs in the park.
They do.
Right. In fact, that was my question back to them when they posted that crap. I was like, I hear these cliches all the time. And so I'd like to hear from all of those of you who are criticizing Heike, the lady in question here who had the beer, for living free, or criticizing her with these complaints. What is it that your efforts have done on these bigger issues in order to increase freedom? Please, just enlighten me about how it is that your standing in the park has reduced taxes. For instance, maybe the Tea Party folks might be reading that one. Or how is it that your standing in the park with signs has ended the war? Oh, it hasn't. The war keeps going. The war expands. Taxes keep getting bigger. So you haven't really done anything to change things, whereas Heike and the rest of the brave activists that have gone out and lived free and drank and smoked in the park and been responsible about it have been able to get away with it for weeks upon months, and they've got a real success story.
Right. I can say that I experienced a certain level of annoyance upon watching the video.
There is no victim. Protecting and serving their jobs.
Because there's a lot of yelling.
Yesterday?
Yeah, from yesterday. There's a lot of yelling, and it's
that's
annoying
understandable
to watch.
when someone's...
Look, I'm just telling you what I experienced.
Okay.
I mean, I also experienced a great deal of anger at the police. I experienced emotions all over the place, and they were distributed on both sides. Now, if you've got this Stockholm syndrome that says, "Oh, the police are here to protect us, and they're not here to protect themselves and get a big old government paycheck and wonderful union benefits that'll last them for the rest of their lives when they only put in 20 years," if you don't have that same Stockholm syndrome, then you'll be in my position. But if you do have it, then I can see how you would place the blame on the activists and say things like, or just the people out there that were having fun. Honestly, it had diminished from even activism at that point because it's gone on so often.
Yeah, but that's the emotion. And like I said, it's not like this was a planned, like the guys every Saturday that are out there on the anti-war protests. I mean, this was people just trying to enjoy their lives, just relaxing, socializing with friends, and this is coming. So I was sure the intensity of the situation was probably a little higher. But I think from our perspective, and I think everyone was pretty well-mannered for the most part, considering the fact that they're grabbing peaceful people for doing nothing wrong.
I'm not saying that I know what should have been done. I don't. I mean, maybe yelling was the right response. Maybe being, everybody sitting. I don't have any idea.
Know either, but that's what happened, right?
I mean, and that's what occurred. And I experienced a certain level of annoyance, so I can understand why these people experience that. However, I've had to because I'm in the midst of this.
Most of them weren't there, right? I mean, most of them, the commenters.
Well, they get to watch the video like I did.
This is true.
I wasn't there
Presuming
either.
they've watched the video, many of them just read the newspaper article about it. Darn free staters, and they make their comments.
The newspaper article seemed relatively fair.
No, I have no objection to the newspaper
which better
article.
than usual. They actually called them free Keene activists instead of free staters, and
I thought it was great. I
that.
praised the newspaper for that.
So I kind of understand where these people are coming from, but the question is, how do you use, if you believe that civil disobedience is the best form of activism, how do you use it in an effective manner? You can't do something, you can't get enough people that are going to refuse to pay their property taxes, for instance, to protest what the schools are doing. You can go stand out in front of the schools with signs, but I'm just of the opinion the signs don't really do that much.
Civil disobedience, though, isn't used to teach people war as a moral or philosophy. It's to get more civil disobedient activists to come to your region.
That's what you're doing.
That's what we're using it for. But I think civil disobedience does get conversations started. I think that instances of folks breaking bad laws encourages other people that are watching to talk about those bad laws. It gives them an excuse to bring it up at a dinner conversation or at the water cooler and that sort of thing, and become the talk of the town, so to speak. So I think there's a real, even if the person who's doing the civil disobedience isn't communicating his or her ideas in a venue that is easily accessible, I think it still does bring issues to the forefront. And as Mark was talking about earlier, I mean, the political guys could do something with it should they want to take that particular issue on.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is to be able to drink beers in Central Square in Keene, New Hampshire. I don't know why anyone wanted to expend political
No, it would be anywhere. It would be anywhere. It would be repealing the open container law, so people
in the city of Keene.
Well, anywhere public.
And it could be a bigger question to me. Like I keep saying over and over, it's about the taxing people for that piece of property, then regulating what they can or can't put in their body. I mean, the problem starts way before anybody steps foot in that park with a beer.
It'd be a minor thing for the city council to do. They just have to vote to repeal that particular ordinance, and then I can legally walk around with a beer.
Or here's a compromise. They could just talk to the town council, let them know that if they'd openly admit in writing and on camera that public property doesn't mean owned by the people, but it in fact means owned by the government and acquired via coercive taxation, then I'm sure you'd just go away, right?
Oh, they're going to admit that.
Yeah, right.
Well, and that's I think part of the point is that public property isn't public, because if it was, you'd be able to do what you wanted.
Gratuitas boobies. Does Oprah Winfrey's book club make you spew gnarly chunks? Wouldn't it be cool to have a pro-freedom book on the bestseller lists? FreedomBookClub.com invites you to participate in choosing the book of the month. Visit their website, choose from 4 finalists, then purchase their book of the month. FreedomBookClub.com making freedom a bestseller. Ugly, pretty.